Welcome to the Steve Stein Guitar Podcast, brought to you by GuitarZoom.com. If you want to improve your guitar playing, keep listening. If you want to improve even faster, go to GuitarZoom.com, where you'll find all of Steve's premium courses, masterclasses, and memberships that'll help you quickly and easily improve your playing. Now here's your host, Steve Stein.
Now, the beauty of essential rock and roll is learning how to solo over a major chord progression using minor pentatonic or something from the minor family. Okay? Even though your brain, if you're a logical person, your brain is going to deny that and say, no, it's in a major key, therefore you should solo major, and rock and roll says, no, you don't want to do that. So the trick here is, again, setting yourself up with something that's going to work for you. And we are going to start with pentatonic. So what I want to do is just take this little track I got, which is literally an A major chord and a D major chord, which means if I was using Logic, I'd be soloing A major pentatonic or A Ionian or A major, the diatonic scale. And I want to show you what that would sound like, because it'll sound right. Okay, here's A major pentatonic. Especially if I play the right track. Here's the right the sound here. Okay? So that's A major pentatonic. Now I'm going to play A major diatonic, the Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do scale. And hopefully what you're noticing is I'm squeezing the rock and roll right out of this poor jam track by playing that. Even though it's the logical thing I should be doing, in rock and roll it doesn't work that way. So what I want to do is I want to interject pentatonic, at the very least, minor pentatonic into this. That doesn't mean I can't use major, because I can, but it means if I really want that flair of what minor or what rock and roll is, I need to add the minor pentatonic elements. Well, what is a minor pentatonic element? Certainly the minor third. That we need. And then the other thing that's really nice is the seventh here. That G, those three notes right there are huge. Okay? You have your A, which is your root, your third, which is the C, which is the wrong note to be playing over this C sharp, because this is playing C sharp, but we're playing C over the top, which again makes no theoretical sense, but it sounds wonderful. So those three notes, the third, the A, which is the root, or the seventh, which is G. Using those three notes, listen to those three notes over this track. Sounds great. Now I want to add in all the other stuff too, though, right? I want my bending. I want all that stuff. Notice my vibrato's real wide. You know, a lot of attitude. Okay, I want to add all that in.
If you're enjoying this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, go to GuitarZoom.com and consider becoming a premium member. There are 3 memberships to choose from: VIP, which gives you instant access to a library of short but powerful courses as well as new bite-sized lessons each month. There's also Play Songs that gives you step-by-step lessons so you can learn to play your favorite songs fast. And finally, there's Masterclass, university-level training on everything from soloing to music theory, from blues to home recording. For more info about these memberships and all the premium courses available to you, go to GuitarZoom.com. Now back to the podcast.
So that's the first step, right? Is making sure I've got the right scale, which is, in this case, is predominantly major pentatonic. I might use minor pentatonic. I might use a little major pentatonic here and there to spice things up, but my minor is what I'm really gunning for. And these three notes, the third, the root, and the seventh. I'm really trying to target those. Then I've got my bending and my vibrato, all this other stuff. Now, if I want to level it up a little bit, what I could do is I could move into trying to use some other notes. Now, what I love to use is what we call the major sixth, or the raise sixth, which comes from what we call the Dorian scale. Now, don't worry if you don't know what that is, but what I'm doing is I'm adding in the 7th fret of the 2nd string. So I'm adding in this note right here, which is the F sharp. That's what I'm adding in. And I love the sound of that note. So now if I was playing again over that track, using that note, so I would totally add that in. And that gives me all my 3-note per string, faster licks, all that kind of stuff. I love that note. And then I would raise it up again by adding in what we call the 9th, which would be the note B. So if you think about it, again, if you don't know your theory, don't get stressed out. I'm just playing 8-7-5, 8-7-5. Which gives me 7-5-4 and 7-5-4. So I get 8-7-5, 7-5-4. Okay, so when I go to solo, I'm seeing that pentatonic as my core with these 3 notes. But then I expand by using these other notes. Now, I don't use them all the time, but I like to add them in, right? So I don't have to sit and play everything all the time. That's the beauty here, is the pentatonic is the hierarchy. It's the minor pentatonic that I'm focusing on. And these other notes I'm going to use to color things up a little bit. There's just a ton of really cool stuff that you can do. So again, what I want you to work on is using this backing track and explore using the major pentatonic first, or the major diatonic, whatever you want, and then look at the minor and how that works. Start seeing that minor pentatonic, or if you're using something else, again, minor pentatonic is a great place to start because it's rock and roll, right? The more I start making everything more eloquent with a lot of notes, like very, very diatonic, I lose certain elements of that rock and roll rawness. So I always like to teach people, think of it as minor pentatonic and then expand the minor pentatonic. But don't just, the entire time. Keep it rock and roll. However, and then throw some cool stuff in there here and there, but bring it back. All those sounds are just wonderful for creating a real rock and roll feel, bluesy rock and roll element. So try that out and see how that works for you. Next time on the Steve Stein Guitar Podcast. Hey, Steve here. Thank you so much for joining me. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at specific techniques that I think are really important. Maybe you've been learning how to play the pentatonic scale or some other scales, and you've been practicing, various scale techniques, things like that. But what I want to remind you of are some really important elements that really make your guitar sound more vocal, more human. And so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about bends, and we're going to be talking about vibrato, okay? Now, when we do bends, for instance, let's just take the A minor pentatonic scale. Okay? Now, there's three main places that people do their bends, and we call these whole step bends or 2-fret bends. So what I'm going to be doing is going to the first string, the 8th fret where my pinky goes. What I'm going to do there is I'm going to bend that up 2 frets. So the 8 is going to sound like 10. So what I could do is actually practice hearing that 10 and then bending until I reach that point. Now with bending, it's really important that you understand that bends need to ultimately, at the end of the bend, it needs to be in tune. Otherwise, it just sounds like you're out of tune, like your guitar would be out of tune. You know, if you're doing something like this, it's going to sound like you're talking to aliens or something weird like that. You don't want that. Hey, Steve Stein here from GuitarZoom.com, and thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, can I ask you a favor? Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your feedback means more to me than you'll ever know. And be sure to check out my YouTube channels where you'll find over 1,000 videos to help you with your guitar playing. Thanks again for listening. Stay positive, keep playing, and keep having fun.
If you'd like some help with your guitar playing but you're not sure how to get started, go to GuitarZoom.com and look for the Help Me Choose survey. By answering a few simple questions, you'll get Steve's personal recommendation of the perfect course for you. All this and more is available for you at GuitarZoom.com.